Well, you gotta hand it to KTM. Despite their money and restructuring issues, they keep coming out with new and cool bikes. First, the 390 Supermoto and Enduro, and now two models of the new 390 Adventure, the X and the R. And let's get real, the 390 Adventure R is the real star of the show. In fact, if you look at all the 450cc class of adventure motorcycles that have recently hit the market, in terms of the spec sheet and price, this bike either wins or is second. What do I mean by that? Let's take a look at the new 390 Adventure X and R and how they compare to the competition. Could these be the motorcycles that save KTM? Stay tuned. And as always, if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with friends. So about 5 years ago, every adventure channel was complaining that adventure motorcycles were on average getting heavier, more powerful, and more expensive. Why couldn't we get something smaller that had enough power to cruise the highway, but was still light and unintimidating enough to do some serious off-roading? Well, my own Tenere 700 was the first real change in that direction for the adventure bike market, and then was followed by ever smaller and lighter bikes which could still put down the power on the tarmac. And more recently, bikes like the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450, CF Moto MT 450, and Kove 450 Rally made a big splash, and more manufacturers are getting on board. Despite its financial troubles, KTM is dropping new bikes every other day, it seems. And the 390 Adventure R looks like the bike that serious adventure riders have been dreaming about. The engine is the 399cc LC4C engine from the 390 Duke, which puts out 44 horsepower and 29 pound-feet of torque. The torque peaks at 7,000 RPM while the horsepower tops at 8,500, so this single likes to rev. The motor should be great on the road and should do well off-road, though in the slow stuff you'll want to keep the revs up and slip the clutch to take advantage of the power while still modulating speed. This doesn't sound like an engine that's going to enjoy being lugged down at low revs. The 390 Adventure R will sport the proper 21 and 18-inch wheels for serious off-roading and also run what appears to be the same suspension from the 390 Enduro model. In fact, this looks very much like the Enduro with a fairing and a larger tank. Cool. It has 9.1 inches of travel at both ends, with the fork having compression and rebound damping adjustment, and the shock being adjustable for spring preload and rebound damping. You need a tool to adjust the spring. The big wheels and tall suspension mean that the seat height is an uncompromising 34.25 inches, which is on the tall side for riders with shorter inseams. The weight of the new bike is an impressive 388 pounds wet, with a good-sized 3.7 gallon or 14-liter fuel tank, more than 30 pounds lighter than the Himalayan 450 and MT 450. The only lighter bike in the class is the Kove 450 Rally, but that motorcycle is considerably more expensive and has a limited dealer network, not to mention an even taller seat. The Rally is a motorcycle for serious off-roaders, and Kove, being a relatively new Chinese import which is still trying to establish itself in Western markets, may make potential buyers hesitate to pony up their cash. So the 390 Adventure R has more power and less weight than the Enfield and CF Moto, the suspension is longer, and the new bike also throws in some high tech. We have 3 rider modes: street, off-road, and rain, with throttle sensitivity and traction control adjustment. Traction control is lean sensitive and can be turned off completely for some off-road fun. The brakes are switchable, and you can turn off ABS on the rear wheel to slide the back tire. And surprise surprise, the bike remembers the off-road modes even if it is turned off with the key, a nice touch for those longer trips in the dirt. I have to say, the R model also looks the business, incorporating styling cues from the KTM rally bikes, a huge improvement from the buggy Decepticon styling of the outgoing model. And you can have this motorcycle for the relatively low MSRP of $7,000 US or 9,800 Canadian. Pricey, you say? I don't need all of that off-road prowess for the kind of riding I'll do? Well then, let me introduce you to the 390 Adventure X, largely the same bike with a lower seat, lower spec, and lower price, $5,900 US or 8,000 Canadian. What are the differences? The X model has smaller 19 and 17-inch wheels with more road-oriented rubber. The suspension is also lower and less adjustable, 7.9 inches travel front and back with only a preload adjustment for the shock. The X doesn't have rain mode, its traction control isn't lean sensitive, it gets a lower spec LCD dash to the R's 5-inch TFT color display, although both bikes have phone connectivity. but with a much lower 32.5-inch seat height, the X model will truthfully be a better fit for the majority of adventure riders who mostly ride pavement, especially folks who are newer to motorcycling or adventure biking. So, on paper and for the price, these bikes are seriously compelling, especially the R model. Yes, it's heavier than the Cove, but KTM also has to get the weight up to make it A2 compliant for Europe, the UK, and Australia. The fact that A2 requires motorcycles to have a power-to-weight ratio of 0.26 horsepower per kilogram is just dumb, but that's what the manufacturers are working with. Still, it's compelling because it's clearly more powerful and lighter than its competitors. However, an industry insider has tipped me off to look out for a 400cc adventure bike coming soon from Triumph. And also, there is the Kawasaki KLE 500, which was teased at EICMA last year. This bike could be a similar spec to the Adventure R, but with Kawasaki's 452cc twin-cylinder Ninja motor and Japanese reliability. So, should you buy this bike, or is there a danger that KTM will go bankrupt and not be able to support these machines with parts in the future? I admit KTM's troubles make me hesitant, but the name of the company still carries serious cachet, and if it sinks, it is sure to get snapped up along with all of its technology by a big buyer, perhaps from India or China. I'd guess that one way or another, these models will be supported into the future. So will these bikes be able to save KTM? It is unclear, but they are certainly the models that the market has been asking for, and I hope that they succeed. It would be a shame to see this proud company, which has thrown so much support to various motorsports efforts, go under. If they are to succeed, the first thing they need to do is shift their focus to drastically improve reliability. They need to be fanatical about making their bikes not break down, like the Japanese. It can be done. Royal Enfield has recently upped the reliability of their motorcycles and completely changed the market's perception of their products. I'd love to see some seriously reliable KTMs with the same cutting-edge performance that their models display now. Hell, I'd seriously consider a reliable 390 Adventure R or a 690 Enduro. But what about you? Is this the bike you've been waiting for? Are you worried about reliability or the company's financial woes? Or are you waiting for that new Kawasaki? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Check out some of these other videos which may be of interest to you. Ride safe, and may the spokes be with you.